Today, I want to share with you guys such exciting news, such a blessing. But I want to share with you guys all about our house. Oh. So, the news is we're building a house. What the heck? And I want to share the story of how we got here because I feel like it would be an injustice to just show you guys the house that we're building and not share the story that it took to get there. So I want to give you guys like a brief kind of backstory so that you guys will understand why this is so sweet to us and why we're so thankful and we just feel so blessed. It's been a long time coming and we're just like, is this even real? It's just been a long time coming, so I'm really excited to share. If you guys follow me on Instagram, you saw that I recently opened up about Kanai's financial struggle the past few years. I feel like this is a topic that nobody talks about, especially in our day and age where like we're shown, you know, everybody's vacations and everybody's new house and everybody's, you know, this or that or their perfect room or like whatever. We just see a lot of, you know, beautiful things. And that's not, you know, necessarily bad, but I feel like this kind of in the same way of when I started sharing about when I miscarried, which was, I feel like I had not heard of anybody miscarrying until I started talking about it. And then people were like, oh my gosh, me too. Like, I understand. And so I just feel like I want to open up a conversation about financial struggle because we're human and we're going to go through hard stuff and maybe it's going to be in our finances. And I want to share because I want you just to see like the struggle and also how faithful God's been, because that's really important that I share, at least it's really important to me that I share like the whole story and not just like what people see, you know, on Instagram or whatever. So in 2017, that was seriously one of the hardest years, probably the hardest year of my life, honestly. It started with miscarrying. There was a lot of just, we were like in the pit financially. So it just was like one grief kind of after another that year, it felt like. A lot of other stuff, but I won't go into that in this video. But that summer, we had built this house when we got engaged. It was just a cute little starter home. We loved it. It was great for what it was. And anyway, that summer, basically, we were struggling so bad financially that if we did not sell the house, we were going to lose it. And so it was very hard. It felt like I was like grieving over my house because that was where we brought our first baby to, you know, home to, and just had so many memories there. I'm going to insert a picture right here because this was seriously my favorite memory of this house. Okay, we had no neighbors behind us. We had a little play structure. Lily was so little and she would just get up on her play structure and just look out into the big open space, and it was just like the most precious thing ever. And I'm so glad I have pictures of it because seriously, that was like the hardest thing I think for me to let go of, was like, oh, I love coming out here and watching her do this. And it was just a really sweet, tender memory. So anyways, that summer we put our house on the market. It sold in like 3 days and it was super hard. It was like a good thing and a bad thing because it provided us with finances to kind of get through what we were going through. But it was obviously really hard because we hadn't planned on moving out of that house that soon. And so we just found ourselves in a really hard place financially. And I feel like nobody talks about struggling financially because it's not like a hot topic. Like nobody wants to be struggling with that, you know, but truly we were struggling. Like I missed out on going to friends' weddings. I missed out on their baby showers. I missed out on so much because I couldn't afford a gift and I was too like embarrassed to say, oh, I'm so sorry, I can't like afford this. And so I just missed out on a ton of things. Like we sat at home a lot because we didn't have money. Like God just provided so much in this season. It was wild. I seriously, maybe the next video I'm going to share just testimonies of when God like came through in the most miraculous ways, because seriously, it was like time after time after time, people were showing up with checks, they're showing up with groceries, and it was just like, oh, it was just so wild. So that was 2017. Since then, we've been living in this apartment. This apartment has been amazing. We've loved it for what it was. We have soaked up the apartment life season and we have an amazing pool. Like, apartment life is a lot easier, but of course it's not a home, right? Like, no, I feel like, of course, our end goal is not to stay here, it's to get back into a house. So we have been loving it here. This has been home for us for almost 3 years, and we've been honestly so thankful. Like, I feel like we've done this season well. I'm really proud of us for not being like, oh, I can't wait to get out of here. Like, this has been great. We're so thankful even just to be able to live in this apartment. It's funny when you get things stripped away from you, especially like material things, big things like your home. You're just, Colin and I just have such a new appreciation for like what we do have, that I'm like, oh my gosh, honestly, like, as long as I got my girls and my husband and we're healthy and safe, I don't care what happens. I mean, I do, but you know what I mean? Like, your perspective kind of shifts a little bit. Like, I will literally never look at money the same way that I did 4 years ago before all of this happened, because God's just really changed our hearts about money and allowed us to just kind of see in a new way. So now that you have a little bit of the backstory from a few years ago and kind of where we've been at, you know, of course things have gotten like progressively better and stuff like that. And so in the beginning of 2019, because like each year that we've been in here, we're like, we're gonna get a house, we're gonna get a house. But we just did not have peace about moving forward with it. And so the beginning of 2019, we were just praying and praying over the year, and I really felt like December, like the end of the year, was going to be the time to get a house. And so that's what we had been praying, that's what we've been feeling. So the time had come to start looking and meeting with lenders and like that kind of stuff. And it was just like, is this really gonna happen? Because when you've waited for something for so long, like, of course, you know, we fought doubt, we fought fear, like, is this ever gonna happen, you know? And so anyways, the time came, we started looking for houses. We were looking at all these different houses. We loved the area we're in. We really wanted to stay in this area. And so this is like a really hot area where we live. And so when you see something you like, you kind of got to move fast. So that being said, we had looked at all these houses. We found one that I had mentioned in the video previous, and we're like, oh my gosh, we love it. We're going to put an offer in. That did not work out financially. It was a little bit above what ended up happening with my husband's job last year. And so we're like, oh, that's like really cutting it close, and we don't want to be like house broke, you know? So, so anyways, we kept searching. We're like, if that's not it, God has something better. And he so did. Can I just tell you? So let me tell you how this happened, okay? So we're standing in this one house. It was a super cute house. We would have been so thankful. It was definitely at the top of our budget, and it would have needed like some work. So we're kind of like teetering like, oh, this is the top of our budget. We're not gonna have a renovation budget. But it was a beautiful home. It was on a beautiful property, and it was just like, okay, we're standing in it, you know, deciding, thinking all these things. My brother-in-law, who is our realtor, was like, I found this house. It's a little bit outside of the location that you were hoping for. Will you just trust me? And I'm like, no. Like, I'm like, I don't want to live out that way. Like, what? So anyways, he's like, just trust me. It's literally 4 minutes from here, because I was like very picky about where our location was. And he's like, will you just trust me? I'm like, I'll trust you. I'm not going to move there, but like, I'll just go, you know? And so we drive out to this neighborhood, and I'm like, okay, this is super cute. So he shows us this house. It's literally perfect. Like, we would have changed maybe 2 things. I mean, the finishes, everything were like almost exactly what we would have picked out. And we pretty much were freaking out. And I'm like, this house is so beautiful. It's the over and abundant, like what we've been praying for. I didn't even think we could get something like this. And we're there, we leave. I'm like, Kyle, that is the house. We both were like, yes, we're making an offer. Absolutely, right away. We're gonna write it up this weekend. So we invited our family over to come see it the same day, like a couple hours later, because we're like, we're gonna get this house. And so we had invited our family, and we're standing in the house, and my brother-in-law like I'm like literally taking a video. I'm like, I just have to remember how beautiful it is. And he just like looks at me, and he's kind of a prankster, so I totally thought he was kidding. But he's like, I'm so sorry. I literally just got a text right now, like as we're standing in the house, that somebody just put an offer in today and it just got accepted. And I was like, no, like you're kidding me, right? And he's like, no, I'm really not kidding. I'm so sorry. And I was like, what? Because it was like an amazing price. And I'm like, we're not going to get the same house for this price. Like, and honestly, I was so devastated. I was so confused. I was like, why would God show us this beautiful house? And like, now everything else that we're going to look at is going to feel like second best. And we waited so long to get in this, like get a house, that I don't want my house to feel like second best. Like, what in the world is going on? So it was a lot of tears, a lot of disappointment, so much disappointment in that whole process. Oh my goodness. I'm like, I just don't see how we're going to beat the house. I mean, it was perfect. It was beautiful, great price. Like, that was it. And we just lost it, and it hurt. And so maybe like a few days, a week later, I'm like literally, you guys, praying for the people who put in an offer on this house to like back out so that we can put an offer in. Okay. Like, that's where I was at. I was like, no, this is our house and we're gonna get it. So all that to say, maybe like a week or so later, my brother-in-law had called us, and he's like, hey, you can build that same house on this lot. It'll be this price. What do you think? And I was like, what? Like, I didn't even know that was a possibility. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So we're just like praying, because I'm like, of course this is what I want, but I don't want to build like that that verse in the Bible, like, don't build a house in vain. Like, if God's not in it, it's not going to stand. And so I was like, I know what it's like to be house broke. I do not want to be in that situation again. And I just felt like I want this house so bad, but I'm totally surrendered. Like, it's totally okay if this isn't our time, or if we need to wait longer, or whatever it is. Like, I just really wanted to know that God was in it with us, and that he was saying yes, and that he was like partnering with us on this, because I'm like, if God's not in it, I do not want it. Like, as beautiful as it is, it has to be God. Like, I have to have peace about it, because otherwise, like, it's just a waste. We talked to the builder, prayed, and we're building a house. So it should be done hopefully sometime in April. I can't even wait to take you guys along the journey. It's not like a big house by any means, but it is beautiful, and we are so incredibly thankful. Like, this is like what we've prayed for, but we're like, will it really happen, you know? Because I mean, at this point, like, we were just like, I'll take anything and I'll be so thankful. But of course, like, God being God just gave us over what we prayed for, completely exceeded our expectations. And it's like a dream. It's a total dream. It's just like, we got to pick out everything. I got to buy the lighting, all the finishes, like everything we got to pick. I'm like, that's so incredible. So, and that was like really a desire in my heart too. Like I had mentioned, we had built our first house, and building was just such a fun process to do, that I was like, oh, one day I want to build a house again. But I totally didn't think it was going to be like our next house. I thought it would be, you know, like down the road when we're going to build, hopefully one day, like a dream house, you know what I mean? So anyways, we are so incredibly grateful. And it's crazy too, like when you lose something and then God redeems it, it's like, something I've really been learning recently is that the redemption is always so much sweeter than the loss. It's like, I don't know, it's almost like childbirth. Like, you're in so much pain, but then it's like, but then the baby's here, and you're like, all of it was worth it, you know? So I feel like when you go through a really hard loss, but then like with time and with that process, like eventually you get to the redemption, and it's like, all of that was worth it. Of course, I wouldn't want to go through it again. I wouldn't want to lose a house again or have those same struggles, but like, I wouldn't change it, because we learned so much. Just like what God did in our hearts, and how we saw him provide in creative ways. And it just is like mind-blowing to me. Last week, our driveway was poured. Lily got to write her name on the back porch. From our driveway, I wrote redeemed, and it just like was just a really special day, because it just kind of left that mark of like, this is redemption. This is what the sweetness of redemption feels like, not only in our finances but in our marriage, and, you know, in our home, and like the place that we live, like just all that we've been through to get to this spot, that it's just like, oh my gosh, like this is it. We're here, you know. I'll just encourage you guys with this. pray big because we have a big God, and pray specifically for what you want, because even if you don't get it, like there's been so many times where we have prayed so specifically, like this is what we need, but this is also what we really, really, really want. And it's okay to want those things, like as long as your heart is seeking God first. Like he wants to bless his children. He wants you to have the desires of your heart. Pray big. It's crazy when you're standing in the moment that you've prayed for years, and it's just sweeter than anything I could have imagined. If you are struggling in finances, just know that you're not alone, even though it's not talked about. Like I literally have not seen anybody talk about struggling financially. And so just know that if you are in that place, I feel you, and it is so hard and so stressful. Just keep praying and asking God for strategy and for wisdom and creative ways to make income, like everything. And he's so faithful, and he'll provide. And you'll not be in this place forever as long as you are partnering with God and just giving him your heart and praying. Amazing things will happen. So I'm gonna leave it at that. I hope that was encouraging to you guys. I can't wait to take you along for the journey, and I have so many more videos I might even film right now. So I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.